Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Battle Through the Heavens based on novel. So let's start. Han Tiendi, he has succeeded. Xiao Yan's and Zhu Kuan's expressions suddenly changed as they stood at the headquarters of the alliance. Their faces were filled with shock as they were lifted. They looked at the thick blood cloud outside of the defensive barrier. For the first time, they could sense an aura, which caused their souls to tremble, at that spot. That aura was something that only an elite Do-Di possessed. The only person within the blood cloud who could become an elite Do-Di was naturally Han Tiendi. Today is the day that I, Han Tiendi, has gained the title of a god. A vast and mighty voice filled with a bloody scent descended from the sky and resounded over every corner of the central plains, just as the expressions of Xiao Yan and Zhu Kuan changed. Han Tiendi. The area around the Alliance headquarters immediately turned into an uproar after hearing this name, which was currently regarded as a demon. Everyone suddenly stood up. Their faces were covered with horror as they looked towards the sky. Buzz buzz. A hurried warning siren sounded within the star realm while everyone were shocked. The Alliance army rushed out from all over the place and spread in all directions. Finally, it turned into a black mass of powerful army that was suspended in the sky. The Alliance army had clearly undergone quite a lot of training during this half a year. The manner in which the army currently acted involved a much deeper cooperation compared to the past. Their auras also appeared unified. The chaos gradually calmed as everyone looked at the big army of black mass floating in the air. It seemed that the action of the Alliance army had caused everyone to feel slightly reassured, despite everyone understanding that this reassurance was extremely fragile. Xiao Yan, Zhu Kuan and the rest had appeared in front of the large army at the same time. Their expressions were grave as they lifted their heads to look at the layers of blood cloud outside of the defensive barrier. At this moment, the bloody scent in the world seemed to be much denser as compared to before. This aura does indeed belong to Han Tiendi. Xiao Yan inhaled a deep breath of air. He suppressed the irritation and uneasiness within his heart. With a wave of his hand, he spoke in a deep voice, "Everyone, ready yourselves." The Alliance army immediately cried out in unison after hearing this. Their aura was quite strong. If we do not stop him this time around, this entire Do-Chi continent would likely be controlled by Han Tiendi. At that time, all creatures will die. Yang Jin spoke in a solemn voice. If nothing unexpected occurs, this would be their final battle. Xiao Yan and the rest nodded quietly. Han Tiendi had arrived while being accompanied by the might of a Do-Di. Just he alone would be able to fight against the entire Alliance army. If they were careless, they would likely be defeated in this war, which had continued for a long time. Is there any news from Xiao Yang? Lei Ying asked. No, Xiao Yan shook his head and replied. The inheritance of the ancient god is not a joke. It likely requires quite a long time. But we do not have so much time left. Lei Ying laughed bitterly. Xiao Yan was quiet for a moment before he said, "It is not that I do not wish to inform him. However, all of you should know that Xiao Yang is our only remaining hope. Only if he successfully advances into the Do-Di class will we be able to fight against Han Tiendi. Otherwise, even if we were to summon him out before that, it would be completely useless. At that time, we will only bury our only hope." Yang Jin and the rest sighed softly. All they could do was to nod their heads. They also understand that Xiao Yan was indeed speaking the truth. Some of the younger generation of our three clans has already been transferred away. At the very least, a little of our bloodline will be preserved. Hence, even if we fail today, as long as Xiao Yang can succeed, the bloodline of our three clans will still continue. Xiao Yan spoke in a deep voice. Therefore, we must not call Xiao Yang out before he succeed. You are right. In that case, we will do as you say. Our Lei clan does not have anyone who is afraid to die. Even if that bastard Hendi has really become a Dodi, my Lei clan will still dare to fight him. Lei Ying clenched his teeth and came around. He cupped his hands together and said. Xiao Yuan smiled slightly. The ripples in his heart had also slowly calmed down. He lifted his head and his eyes looked at the thick blood cloud. Currently, it was time to live and die with the Alliance army. The blood cloud that covered the sky did not move as the Alliance army waited solemnly. Rich bloody scent drifted across the sky. However, this kind of silence did not cause one to be relaxed. This was because everyone could sense the feeling of an imminent storm. The pressurizing silence continued for around an hour. Finally, ripples rose within the blood cloud, which had covered the Central Plains for over half a year. After which, the blood cloud covering the sky slowly parted in front of many people's eyes. Soon after, rushing wind sound appeared. Figures riding on black fog swarmed out in all directions from the blood cloud like floodwater. Finally, they floated outside of the huge defensive barrier. Their eyes were densely cold as they stared at the black mass of people inside. The Han clan is finally here. The expressions of many turned somewhat pale as they looked at the large army that covered the sky. Although they had already anticipated this scene, their hearts still felt an endless horror and despair when this moment finally arrived. The Han clan's army was suspended in the sky. They did not say anything. Instead, they simply watched the countless number of people inside the defensive barrier below like a pack of fierce wolves. Suddenly, a path was formed within the army. Soon after, a blood color came over from a distance away. After which, it transformed into a blood lotus, which was filled with an endless bloody aura, and floated in front of the Han clan's army. The blood lotus was suspended in the sky. A human figure with messy bloody hair sat on it. The bloody stench that permeated the sky had reached an extreme level. Finally, the air moved and the bloody aura agglomerated into blood droplets all over the place. Blood rain fell and splattered onto the defensive barrier. This spectacular scene caused many to feel an endless chill within their hearts. Hendi, Xiao Yuan and the others stared intently at the human figure seated on the blood lotus. Both of his hands were involuntarily clenched tightly. That aura was far too terrifying. Xiao Yuan, you have lost. Hendi sat on the blood lotus. The long bloody hair behind him danced in the wind. Those scarlet eyes smilingly stared at Xiao Yuan's group within the defensive barrier, as he slowly said. Xiao Yuan's eyes sunk. He cried out, Hendi, the ancient clans has long held an informal agreement that our war will not hurt the ordinary people. This action of yours will definitely be met with retribution. What a joke. Hendi laughed softly. Immediately, his body slowly stood up from the blood lotus. He appeared like the lord of this world overlooking the lands. The current me has already surpassed this world. Who can condemn me? Rules are always made by the strong. From today onwards, the Dochi continent will belong to my Han clan. Hendi's voice contained an endless bloodthirstiness, as it reverberated over the sky. It caused the expressions of an increasingly number of people to pale. Given the way the Han clan acted, if it really controlled the Dochi continent, it was likely that everyone would have to live in an endless and constant fear in the future. I am the final victor of this war. A blood light surged within Hendi's eyes. Soon after, he extended his hand and aimed at the barrier below, which protected countless people. Suddenly his palm was clenched. Xiao Yuan, given that you were once an opponent who can match me, I shall allow you to witness what is called the strength of a Do-di today. The bloody rain in the sky gathered as his voice sounded. It turned into an extremely thin bloody line. The blood line flashed across the sky in a lightning-like fashion. A hundreds of thousands feet long black line appeared in the sky as the bloody line passed. The space itself had been directly cut apart. At the same time, the defensive barrier below, which was built by many experts combined, did not create any ripples, as it simply exploded apart in front of those many stunned eyes. Everyone became dull as they saw the final defense disappear. Regardless of how the blood rained onto his body, the bloody scent caused them to feel death approaching. Just a mere random strike and the defense formed by Zhu Kuan and the many alliance army collapsed. The expression of Xiao Yuan's group became ugly as they watched the defensive barrier being destroyed. They also became extremely gloomy. The strength that Han Tiendi currently possessed caused even them to shudder. In formation, Xiao Yuan's expression was gloomy. His body rose into the air and suddenly cried out sternly. Even though he was clearly aware that he was no match for his opponent, he must still fight until the end. The densely packed alliance army also cried out furiously, after hearing Xiao Yuan shout out loud. Their cries shook the land. Monstrous Do-chi surged out from within his body. The momentum even managed to scatter some of the blood cloud that covered the sky. Xiao mirror. Xiao Yuan's body floated in the vast and endless Do-chi. The seals formed by his hands were altered. Do-chi gathered. Finally, it turned into an energy ancient mirror that was tens of thousands of feet in size. After gathering the Do-chi of so many experts, a terrifying annihilation-like ripple immediately rose from within the ancient mirror. Xiao Yuan and the others understood the strength that Han Tiendi currently possessed. Hence, they had unleashed their strongest attack on the first strike. The strength of many were gathered along with the might of the formation in order to unleash such a terrifying attack. Grug. Xiao Yuan spat out a mouthful of essence blood the moment the energy light mirror appeared. The blood scattered into the light mirror. Immediately, light rose from it. Swoosh. Xiao Yuan had a grave expression. The seal formed by his hands rapidly changes. Finally, one could see the energy light mirror tremble intensely. A light pillar, which was hundreds of thousand feet in size, suddenly erupted. Even the air itself was destroyed wherever the light pillar passed. The light pillar had penetrated through the entire sky. It was clearly visible to the entire central plains. Everyone's hearts were lifted at this moment. Even Han Tiendi would likely have difficulty blocking such a strong attack, right? Han Tiendi, who was standing on a blood lotus in front of the countless pairs of eyes, merely smiled indifferently. Those blood-colored palms shot towards the terrifying light pillar heading towards him from below. His finger was extended and pressed gently. Shatter. A soft word sounded and a furious dragon-like light pillar came to a sudden halt when it was still 10 feet or so from Han Tiendi. That finger of Han Tiendi also gently landed on the light pillar. Boom. Not even the slightest energy ripple was formed as the finger landed. The seemingly incomparably terrifying light pillar collapsed an inch at a time under those stunned eyes. Finally, it emitted a boom and turned into light spots that fell from the sky. Xiao Yuan, I will be the final victor of this battle. Han Tiendi looked down at the ugly expression of Xiao Yuan below. He smiled faintly as he slowly said. Blood rain fell from the sky in all directions. The entire world seemed to have become scarlet at this moment. Is this the strength of an elite Do-di? Even the heart of Xiao Yuan involuntarily felt a deep helplessness, after seeing such a terrifying attack being destroyed by Han Tiendi with such ease. No wonder it was so difficult to reach this level. The gap between the both of them was just like two completely different worlds. You are actually fantasizing about being the world's savior with this strength of yours. Han Tiandi's scarlet eyes stared at Xiao Yuan. His tone contained a faint mockery. He immediately waved his hand. A blood light spluttered from his hand. After which, everyone saw that the mountain below and the countless experts on it were directly slaughtered. No one could escape or resist. Everyone's expressions once again changed upon seeing this ferocious technique of Han Tiandi. This so-called alliance army appeared extremely insignificant at this moment. Xiao Yuan, I have given you an opportunity back then. Unfortunately, you did not grab hold of it. Han Tiandi's blood eyes stared at Xiao Yuan as he slowly said. Let everything end here. Han Tiandi admired the many faces that contained horror and despair. Suddenly he felt a little lazy. The things that he had found troublesome to deal with back then currently had difficulty attracting his attention. An elite Dodi was just like the god of this world. Everyone else were just like ants in his eyes. Han Tiandi's long finger was gently pressed down as he spoke. The world immediately fluctuated. An endless bloody chi gathered rapidly at the tip of his finger. Finally, it transformed into a blood light that directly hurried towards Xiao Yuan. Xiao Yuan's heart was startled when he saw Han Tiandi attack. The do chi within his body hurriedly whistled out. However, he was preparing to maneuver the natural energy to put up a defense when Han Tiandi smiled. He pressed his finger and softly stated, "Halt." After this voice sounded, Xiao Yuan was immediately startled to discover that he had lost connection with the energy in the world. This unexpected change caused some shock to surge onto Xiao Yuan's expression. The reason an elite Do Xing was so powerful was not because of the great strength of their Do Qi. Instead, it was because they could maneuver the naturally energy without restraint to attack and defend. However, just a soft voice of Han Tiandi was able to halt the ability of an elite Do Xing. In this way, it was equivalent to break an arm of Xiao Yuan. Xiao Di shattering black finger. This unexpected change caused one to feel shocked. However, Xiao Yuan was extremely experienced. After detecting that he was unable to maneuver the natural energy, the Do Qi within his body surged to the limit. A low cry sounded. Monstrous Do Qi gathered into a huge finger. The finger was covered with mysterious lines. After which, it ruthlessly struck towards the blood light. Bang! Blood light and the huge reel-like finger suddenly collided in the mid-air. Grug! The seemingly hard Do Qi defense burst apart rapidly with great ease as the two collided. Finally, the blood light ruthlessly smashed onto Xiao Yuan's body an instant later. A mouthful of crimson blood was spat out. His body staggered backwards. Fortunately, Zhu Kuan intervened from behind, aiding him in stabilizing his body. A Do Di existence dominates this world. You are really far too naive to maneuver the natural energy in front of me. Han Tiandi laughed faintly. He suddenly lifted his hand and aimed at the dense blood cloud in the sky. After which, he clenched his hand gently. Blood cloud churned. Immediately a thunderclap sounded. A huge blood-colored lightning descended from the sky. It cut through the empty space and ruthlessly smashed towards the Alliance army. Take formation and attack. Xiao Yuan hurriedly wiped off the trace of blood on the corner of his mouth as he cried out in a stern voice. If this blood lightning was allowed to strike, the Alliance army would definitely suffer serious injuries and deaths. The Alliance army quickly braced their attention after hearing Xiao Yuan's stern cry. Vast and mighty Do Qi swiftly gathered into a huge Do Qi dragon. It subsequently charged forward and ruthlessly collided with the blood-colored lightning. Bang bang! The two enormous beings collided in the sky. Glaring intense light shone throughout every corner of the central plains. However, the entanglement of the two did not last for a long time, before that demonic blood lightning forcefully scattered the huge Do-Chi dragon. Grug? A pale expression surfaced on the faces of many experts in the Alliance army as the huge dragon disappeared. All of them spat out a mouthful of blood together. Clearly, they had been injured by the backlash. One man alone was able to fight the entire Alliance army. The strength of an elite Do-Di had actually reached such a terrifying extent. Regardless of how large the group was, it seemed to be completely insignificant in the face of such strength. Jiu Yuan and Zhu Kuan exchanged glances. They noticed the shock in the other party's eyes. Although they had already expected that an elite Do-Fi would be extremely terrifying, they still had difficulty believing the reality that appeared in front of them. Despite having gathered so many experts, they were actually unable to even stop a Han Tiendi. Do-Di is far too terrifying. Yang Jin's face was filled with bitterness. They clearly did not have any chance of victory in the face of that type of strength. Regardless of what the situation is, we will be able to turn things around as long as we can drag things out until Xiao Yang appears. Jiu Yuan clenched his teeth and said. Yang Jin and the others once again laughed bitterly upon hearing this. It was not that they wished to delay the matter. However, in the face of Han Tiendi's absolute strength, all of their actions are completely pointless. All we need to do is delay for a little longer. I can feel that the dragon seal, which I have left in Xiao Yang's body, becoming increasingly faint. That kind of pressure is not something that an ordinary elite Do-Shin can possess. Ziyang by the side suddenly opened her mouth and spoke excitedly. She and Xiao Yang were connected by a dragon seal. Although she was unable to use it to learn of Xiao Yang's exact situation, she was able to rely on the intense ripple from the dragon seal to guess Xiao Yang's condition. The hearts of Jiu Yuan's group shook upon hearing this. Their originally a little gloomy eyes revealed a joyous expression. This was likely the beat news that they had received during this period of time. In that case, we must block this fellow today no matter what happens. Zhu Kuan lifted his head. He looked at Han Tiendi, who appeared a little demonic, as he stood on a blood lotus in the sky. A slight ferociousness flashed across his eyes. Jiu Yuan, reorganize the Alliance army. I will fight him. Zhu Kuan did not wait for a reply from Jiu Yuan after these words of his sounded. His body directly shot towards the sky. Soon after, he twisted his body. A huge dragon, which size left one speechless, appeared in the sky. That vast and powerful dragon's might barely managed to scatter some of the blood stench that filled the place. Stubborn fellow. Han Tiendi involuntarily shook his head after seeing this. He randomly waved his sleeve. The light ray with a shocking momentum directly erupted into light spots that were scattered all over the place. He moved his body and he appeared above the huge dragon body in a ghost-like fashion. He gently stomped his foot, and the many purple-gold dragon scales burst apart. Dragon blood flowed out from the wound like a waterfall. Roar! This sudden intense pain also caused Zhu Kuan to struggle intensely. That extremely strong huge body would cause the space itself to shatter each time it rolled. Boom! Hub Tiendi's blood eyes appeared indifferent. He once again stomped ruthlessly with his foot. That tens of thousands of feet large body had been forcefully stormed by his body until it fell from the sky. It smashed a mountain range below into a sunken deep gully. Many experts from the Alliance army revealed a dim expression in their eyes after they saw that even Zhu Kuan was so easily defeated by Han Tiendi. Uninteresting fight. Han Tiendi's body once again returned to the blood lotus. He glanced at the countless number of terrified faces and slowly shook his head. Next, the blood lotus supported him as he slowly rose into the sky. Let everything come to an end. I do not like the name Central Plains. Hence, this place shall be destroyed. Hendi lifted his right hand gently. After which, he pointed it towards the blood cloud that was spread throughout the Central Plains. A dense and ferocious expression slowly surfaced on the corner of his mouth as he suddenly swung his palm. Bang! The thick blood cloud suddenly churned crazily as Hendi swung his hand. Violent energy that left one numb swiftly gathered within it. In the blink of an eye, countless blood-red lightning flashed and appeared within the blood cloud. Bang bang bang. These blood-colored lightning, which was filled with a destructive force, had just appeared when it came smashing onto the Central Plains below from all directions. Immediately, the entire Central Plains trembled at this moment. The land split. Every spot that the blood lightning descended on ended up self-destructing because of the sound it emitted. This included even those hidden deep underground. The area around the Alliance had already lost the protection of the defensive barrier. The bodies of those millions or tens of millions of people had ended up exploding as the blood rain descended. In an instant, the area around the Alliance had been covered with viscous blood. Countless number of people fled crazily towards the headquarters of the Alliance. The scene was as though doomsday had arrived. Bastard! Xiao Yan's eyes had nearly cracked as he watched this scene. Many experts from the Alliance were struck by the blood lightning. Without exception, their bodies and even their souls had turned into a bloody fog the moment they were struck. Ha 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 ha. The bloody glow in Hendi's eyes became increasingly intense as he looked at the Central Plains, which was covered in a sea of blood. He laughed out loud as he stood in the air permeated by blood lightning. It was as though he was a world-exterminating devil, who had stepped out from the land of the demons. All forces, retreat and defend. Xiao Yan's voice was a little hoarse as he cried out. Under the descending blood lightning, the Alliance army had ended up with terrible deaths and injuries. There was no telling how many experts had ended up dying in it. At this moment, all they could do was to shrink the defense line and firmly resist. Xiao Yang and the other ladies watched the monstrous sea of blood that filled their eyes. The back of their teeth involuntarily bit tightly onto their lips. This situation caused even them to involuntarily feel a despair. Kaylin hugged Xiao tightly in her embrace. She did not allow the latter to watch such a bloody massacre. Mummy, will Daddy appear? Xiao's small face leaned against Cai Lin's shoulder. Her small body was trembling gently. Good Xiao. Daddy will definitely appear. He still have to come and protect Xiao. Kaylin patted Xiao's back and softly said. However, her words had only just sounded when she suddenly sensed an extremely terrifying energy erupting from within the body of Xiao in her embrace. This strength had far surpassed hers within a short instant. Boom boom. While Xiao's aura had suddenly soared, the bodies of Xiao Zhan, Xiao Ding, Xiao Li and the others became an inch taller almost immediately. Their auras were also soaring crazily. It is the bloodline strength. The Do-Di bloodline in their bodies had been activated. Xiao Yan was startled as he watched this scene. A wild joy surfaced on his face. After which, he suddenly lifted his head, only to find that layers of brilliant flames had suddenly spread in the empty space. They turned into an incomparably huge fire barrier that enveloped the area within a 5,000-kilometer radius of the Sky Mansion Alliance. Bang bang. The blood lightning ruthlessly smashed onto the fire barrier. However, it was not easily destroyed like earlier. Instead, the flame churned and incinerated the blood lightning into nothing. Flame rolled through the sky. Finally, it turned into a human figure covered in brilliant flames. The faces of Xiao Yan and the rest revealed a joy that was formed from having survived through a disaster, as they looked at the flame figure. Xiao Yang, we have already reached our limit. Everything else will have to depend on you. This video will end here.